Welcome. Nvidia released the groundbreaking 1080 Ti over 6 years ago in 2017. Now in 2023, we have an original Founders Edition that has been through years of water cooling. Can this card be restored? And can it run today's games? To find out, in this episode, we will tear it down, clean the card and water block, fill it in our custom loop, and see how the GTX 1080 Ti performs. This is the Vector Network, and let's begin. Let's start by unscrewing 9 torque screws around the aluminum backplate, and then removing the backplate itself, revealing the back side of the PCB underneath, and removing any thermal pads. We then have 3 Phillips head screws to remove on the I/O bracket, then 2 torque screws to remove, one with both a nut and plastic washer. Then there are 5 more torque screws to remove with plastic washers. From there, we can simply lift the PCB up and away from the water block. In the top left corner of the card, the red tabs are covering the SLI connection, allowing for multiple cards to be connected together. To clean the PCB, 99% isopropyl alcohol and Noctua NA-CW1 cleaning wipes can be used to help remove residual thermal paste and pads. The GTX 1080 Ti has 11 GB of GDDR5X memory, all on the front side of the PCB. The 1080 Ti fully supports DirectX 12, making it compatible with the latest games and API. Running at 100% power limit, the card draws approximately 250 watts. And then there are 2 torque screws to remove, along with the piece of black acetal. Flipping the block over, there are 4 torque screws to remove on the cover, and then the metal cover itself, revealing underneath an additional 12 torque screws to remove. We can then lift the acrylic top up and away from the cold plate. Next, there are 2 more torque screws with metal washers to remove. Then we can remove the terminal and rubber O-ring. Let's use isopropyl alcohol and a brush to help clean and scrub the fins and cold plate. Place the remaining items aside. The jet plate is used to better focus and distribute the coolant onto the fins. And the acrylic top and rubber O-rings can be cleaned with soap and water. This water block uses 1 large rubber O-ring to waterproof the seal between the acrylic top and cold plate. Next, let's take the jet plate and scrub it with a soft brush and 99% isopropyl alcohol. With that done, we can then drop in the large O-ring, and then the jet plate. With the acrylic top cleaned with soap and water, we can drop in the rubber strand for the jet plate that is installed directly into the acrylic top. And then place the top onto the cold plate, followed by the 12 torque screws. The metal cover, and 4 more torque screws. Then drop in the rubber O-ring for the terminal, and then the terminal itself. Screw in the 2 torque screws with metal washers. Put back the piece of black plastic along with 2 torque screws. The front side thermal pads range from 0.5 mm thick on the memory to 1 mm thick on the VRM. Peeling off both sides of film prior to placing the pad directly onto the PCB. The last little square is 1.5 mm thick. Next, let's use Noctua NT-H2 thermal paste. And then we can place the PCB directly on top of the cold plate. securing it with the 5 Torx screws and plastic washers around the processor and in the corner. Putting back the I/O bracket is next, along with 3 Phillips head screws, followed by 2 Torx screws, a nut, and plastic washer. The backplate is next. We can remove the thermal pads and clean the backplate with soap and water. The thermal pads for the backplate are all 2 millimeters thick. Once the film is peeled and the pads are in place, we can drop the backplate right on top of the PCB and secure it with the 9 Torx screws. Might as well drop in a pair of Optimus plugs. Let's use a pair of EKWB torque 90-degree adapters and the Coolant Quick Disconnect QD3 male fittings in black. For the coolant, let's use Aqua Computer Double Protect Ultra in green. Stay tuned as the fill and the results are next. Let's connect the Coolant's Quick Disconnect fittings. Keep in mind what comes out first is the clear distilled water from the tubes. Once restored, the water block works as intended. Any replacement parts like screws, rubber O-rings, and thermal pads were sourced directly from Watercooled. The GTX 1080 Ti has fallen to a fraction of its price since its release in 2017. There is potential value to be gained by combining the card with a restored water block, even more so considering its overclocking potential, which we will explore as we test the card next. Stay tuned as the testing is coming up next. To obtain the results, the benchmarks for Red Dead Redemption 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 were run on our open air test bench with ambient room temperature at 21 degrees Celsius. In Red Dead Redemption 2, with preset favor quality maxed at stock 1440p with FSR off, FPS was 49 and increases to 53 with FSR quality. At stock and using FSR quality, reduces the power usage 8% from 208 to 195, and the GPU temperature from 36 to 35 degrees Celsius. Overclocking the card by adding 200 MHz to the core and 600 MHz to the memory. In Cyberpunk 2077, with max settings, no ray tracing, at stock 1440p with FSR off, FPS was 48 and increases to 69 with FSR quality. Overclocking and using FSR quality reduces the power usage 6% from 258 to 243 and the GPU temperature from 37 to 36 degrees Celsius. Although lacking ray tracing and using approximately 50 watts more power, these results are comparable to the RTX 3060, a card 2 generations after the GTX 1080 Ti. Like the video by clicking the like button. If this is your first time here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. This is the Vector Network. Please click on the bell for notification when the next episode airs. Click on the links here for more videos like this, including video card and water cooling component teardowns, unboxings, and thermal testing for water-cooled PC builds. Thank you, and I'll see you at the next episode.